Welcome.
Hello.
It's great to have you here.
Thank you. It's so fun to be here.
We'll start at the very beginning. You began busking. Why don't you tell us about what it was like getting into music as a sort of career and an industry?
Sure. Okay. So, yeah, I was a busker. I think I was 14, maybe. I was a very confident 14-year-old. God, awful. And I was, so I'm from Brighton, and in Brighton you can busk without a license. So I would sort of go every weekend, and I would go with like my dad, and he would watch over so I didn't get stolen from. Fun. And I would busk for hours, which was really good training for learning that people really don't have to listen to you in a really nice way. But I would busk for hours, primarily because it's so awkward. Fun fact, busking, the worst bit is the setting up and the packing down, because everyone's staring at you and you're not doing anything to distract yourself from the fact that everyone's staring. So I would just set up and then busk for like 3 hours and just sing. I used to sing Disney covers in front of Brighton Library because the kids would dance and the parents would feel bad and pay me. Girl bossing from such a young age. And yeah, I was a busker. I would do open mics. I would sing in pubs, in like working men's clubs. Then I had a YouTube channel, the Justin Bieber of the South Downs. And then my manager, who's my manager today, just found me on YouTube through some original music that I posted and got in touch. And then from there, I sort of started doing writing sessions and working with other writers and producers. And then from there, I signed a publishing deal. And then from there, I signed a record deal. And then that was when I was 17. And I'm now 21. So then I just sort of, bit by bit, built up.
And you said you had your YouTube channel. Lots of people here probably have been watching that from the beginning. What inspired you to get into songwriting as opposed to just covers?
I was always really inspired to songwrite, way more than I was to sing, almost. I loved Taylor Swift, and I loved Sarah Bareilles and Ingrid Michaelson and Lily Allen, and all these women who are amazing songwriters. And then I think I liked singing, but I wasn't like especially good like child singer. I like never had the solos in the choir. Not that I still think about it. Obviously, I've moved on. But I love songwriting and I love storytelling. I used to write short stories, but then I would get bored. I think I was too impatient. And then I discovered that songwriting was like writing a book, but like a very short one. And then I just did it all the time. And I didn't realize that everyone else wasn't doing it. Like I thought we were all doing that. Like writing really ridiculous songs about your boyfriend moving to Paris, but you're 13, your boyfriend is not moving to Paris. And I used to try and make my sister do it with me. And I have a twin sister called Ellen, and she was not on board. She was not interested. Although I did write, I remember really distinctly writing her year 7 music piece. Like we wrote a song together, or I wrote the song. And I feel like that was my first, pitch song for Ellen and her year 7 music project. And I don't think it did that well, I'm not gonna lie.
What was the song about?
I literally remember it. I'm not gonna sing it because I have some self-respect, a very small amount, but it is there. But it was called 9 Lives, and it went, you had your 9 lives and you threw them all away. Oh God.
Maybe that's a good place to ask how your songwriting style has changed over the years from 9 Lives to you signed up for this.
Timeless classic, yes. In some ways a lot, and in some ways not at all. I think I've always sort of said to people, when people ask me for advice on songwriting, especially people that are much younger, I always say, I think for the first few years of songwriting, I just did a lot of emulated all of my favorite songwriters, so be that Taylor Swift or Lily Allen. I just wrote songs as if I was them. And then I think when you do that a lot, you sort of just subconsciously develop your own style. And I think that, I'd like to think that happened somewhere along the way. And so, yeah, I would like to think it got better. That's full stop.
And then in 2019, your song Feels Like This played on Love Island and sort of opened you up to a whole new group of listeners. What was that experience like?
It was so fun. That was so fun. That was the summer. Was that the World Cup? I feel like that was the World Cup or something, and it was like the best ever summer we've ever had. And it was really sunny, and my song was used on Love Island, and that was like the biggest thing that could happen to you at the time. And I really remember they used Feels Like This, but then they used Favorite X when Curtis and Amy broke up. I like that I still remember that. But it was so exciting, and it was so cool because I feel like it was a real, like, everybody watched Love Island. Like, my dad watched Love Island. Sorry, Nick, for outing you like that. But it was so fun. It was really cool, and I feel like I gained, like, a lot of people found my music through that, which is so cool.
And a lot of your songs are clearly quite personal or seem to be written about your own experiences. As you've gained more recognition, how have you managed to sort of maintain control and that personal connection with your music?
I think that for me at least, they're very separate things. I think that when I write songs and when I go into the studio and start a new song, I don't think any, how do I say what I'm trying to say? I think that it doesn't matter how successful you are to me, or what you've achieved, or what you're doing that week, or how big your songs are. I think that everyone, once you start writing that song, it doesn't matter. It's like outside of the room, and when you're inside of the room, all you're thinking about is, how do I make this the best song that I've ever written, and how do I say this thing that I want to say as best as I can, and everything else is actually just wholly unuseful, and I just don't think about it.
And you've got your album and a couple of EPs from before then, lots of breakup songs. Are they all about the same person, the same experience, or do you tend to write one song about an experience and then move on?
I think it's both, I guess. I think I write some situations, and often not to do with the gravity of the situation. I find some situations are much easier to write about, or lend themselves to more types of songs than others, where, maybe something objectively bigger happens to you, but you can only really find one or two ways to speak about that before you sort of said all there is to say. So I would say there's no generalized answer. It really is very unlucky. Like, I really do just go, that's what I'm writing about for the next 6 months. Sorry.
And then last year you joined Ed Sheeran's record label, Gingerbread Man Records. How have you found your experience there?
Oh, it's amazing. I think I've become a one-woman Ed Sheeran superfan promotional team, which I'm really on board with, because obviously everybody knows he's like a really incredible songwriter and performer, and he's done things that no one will ever do again. But he's also really, really, truly the most generous and kind and thoughtful person, regardless of his success. I would say that about him if he hadn't achieved any of it. He's the sort of person who will say hello to every single other person in the room, and will think of really specific, nice things to do or to say, and he'll just remember them. And he's just also obviously ridiculously talented and has experienced so much, so it's an amazing sounding board to have. But also just really as a person and as a friend, there's just like I don't think there's anybody like him in music, both professionally and personally.
And what did you learn from working with such big artists? I suppose a lot of people would be very nervous to start that journey and meet all these big industry names.
Oh my God, it's so scary. I really remember like meeting Ed for the first time, and I went to his house, and then I went to write, and we'd been back and forth a bit, and we have a lot of mutual friends, so I was there with our mutual friend Joe Rubel, who's a producer, and then Johnny McDade, who's in Snow Patrol, and it was the four of us, and we went up to the studio, and then all songwriting sessions are essentially the same, because you do all just start, like you're just looking at each other, and someone goes like, and then someone's like, is that good? And you're like, yeah, okay. Like, should I say this thing? And everyone's like, yeah, okay. But imagine that, but it's like Ed Sheeran, and you're like, and you're like, oh my God, your life's flashing before you, everything is blurry. And like the first 10 minutes were just so scary. But then you just sort of realize that everyone is a normal person, especially with those guys, because they're super sweet and nice. And then you just sort of get on with it. Got to make a song. Come on, don't have all day.
And was that experience similar when you were writing for Trying for the Apple TV series? Did you change your process at all to fit in with the series?
I would say no. I guess with that, it was for a brief. So I had all the scripts, and I read through them all, and I made notes on each episode. Very studiously of me, I would write down bullet points on lines in the script that I thought could be useful, or like descriptions or feelings or emotions, or like even colors or what someone was wearing. And then at the end of each episode, when I read it, I would write what I thought the overall sort of theme and message of the episode was. And then when I went back sort of a few weeks later and started writing all the music, I would just use that as a cheat sheet. And then also you would come up with new things on the spot, obviously. But it was kind of really fun. It was like giving a cheat sheet to writing a song because you'd have everything you need to say. And then I also obviously added a lot of my own life in there, which was fun because it's sort of this really fun, weird, personally, I guess only I know, sort of mix of like real life and fiction.
Do you have a favorite song from Trying?
Oh my God, yeah, I love them all. I think that my favorite song on that is, I'm gonna say Glowing Review, but I love Funeral and I love James Bay, and I grew up loving James's music. And I wrote that song as a duet, and I wrote it wanting James to do it. And I didn't know that he would. We didn't know each other. And then I sent him a really embarrassing email being like, "Hi, I'm Maisie. Can you sing on my song, please?" And he did. And we got to do James Corden together. And along the way, I became really good friends with him. And he's like the sweetest, nicest, most talented man. And so that's like a fond memory for me.
So let's talk about MP2. Lots of people talk about sort of the pressure that they feel to reinvent themselves in the industry to stay relevant. Is that something you've been worried about?
She says, as a new blonde, no. No, but on a real note, I think there's obviously always the second album fear. Everyone has it. But I was talking about this the other day that I feel like, without giving too much away, because I started making the next record so quickly. My album came out in August, the end of August. And then I pretty much started the next one in October. I think I threw myself back in, and if you don't give yourself too much time to think and you just sort of do what feels fun and exciting and do it with people that you feel like are fun and exciting, for me that ended up being the best thing I could do because there wasn't enough time to really build pressure. Obviously there was some, and I feel that all the time because you always want to better yourself and make the best things possible. But by, I think, throwing myself in, it was just sort of let's just see what happens. And we've got so much time and we're like ahead of schedule, you could argue. So it was just like, we're just having fun. And then from that, I feel like the music came together because you're not thinking, you're just doing what feels natural and right. And yeah, I'm really pleased with it.
And October must have been slightly before you realized maybe quite how big you signed up for this was going to be. Do you think a lot about what your fans want when you're writing your music now, or is it still?
Yes and no. I think yes, but also I feel like I like to think myself and the people that listen to my music and my fans were very similar. So I think I go by, if I love something, I think they will too. And that's proven to be mostly right. And I also think that I make enough of a variety of music that I have fans that, will say, I didn't like Psycho as much as I liked Funeral. And I'm like, that's okay, because you can just listen to Funeral. And yeah, it means that I'd like to think there's enough variety that there's something for everyone, and that's what keeps it fun.
And if you were to re-release your first EP, what would you do differently? Would you change anything?
No, I definitely wouldn't change anything because I'm such a believer in, as a person, when I release music, I literally never listen to it again. I play it, obviously, I play it live. But I'm so attached to it before it comes out. I listen to it a million times. When a song's a demo, I listen to it all the time. And then when you're working on it and you're finishing it, you listen to it all the time. And then by the time it comes out, for me at least, it feels very much like sort of saying goodbye to a loved one. You're like, you do your thing, but I don't need to hear you anymore. So I mean, truthfully, I haven't really listened to that first EP, apart from my band put it on in the van the other day because they wanted to do Details on tour. And I said, guys, we're not doing Details on tour. But I don't listen to it, and I don't think I should, and I don't think it should be changed. It was perfect for the time.
And you talked about playing songs live. How does that change your relationship with the song? And has it changed now that you're playing live to sort of much bigger audiences?
I don't know if it does, really. I think it doesn't matter the size of the audience, it matters how engaged they are. And past a certain point, really truthfully, you can't see. I don't know if I can see the difference between 400 and 800, for example. So then it becomes, basically, if you're in the front 4 rows of a concert, you should know that like we can definitely see you, and like we really need you. And it's like the gig is so formative on like those front 4 rows, and obviously everyone's important, and I play for every single person in that room because I'm always the person at the back. But I think that it's the connection you have with the people who are there, and I'm really lucky. I normally have really wonderful people in those front 4 rows. And then it doesn't matter the size of the venue. But in terms of playing songs live, definitely, it really does. It changes a lot. I think people say, like, do you get bored of playing your songs live? And I say no, because every time you play a song live, it's a different experience. And I'm lucky and I have a very connected fan base or people that come to shows. And then every single time I play a song, it's like it's the first time because I'm seeing someone listen to it for what feels like the first time.
And is there a song that you have a favourite song that you play live, or does it change night on night?
It changes night on night, but I have a song called Brooklyn, and I love playing that song, and we have like a big guitar solo at the end, which I don't play, which is probably why I like it. And yeah, I love playing that song.
So you're going on tour with Ed Sheeran soon, and also touring around the US. What has it been like preparing for those, and what are you most looking forward to now?
Oh, I'm so excited. So I'm going on tour. I'm leaving next Sunday, so not this one, but the one after. And yeah, I'm so excited because I haven't toured really in 2 years, 2.5, 3 years maybe. And that's such a fundamental part of making music. And I love my band. We're all super close, and it's literally going to feel like a school trip. Like, you know, when you were in school and you would go to the coach park in the morning and you'd like see all your friends, you'd be like, oh my God, hi. That is what the airport will be like, and I'm excited. But yeah, I'm really excited. And then the preparation for that has been minimal in the best way. I've just been super busy, so we did a couple of days rehearsal a month ago, and then we're kind of just going to hit the ground running. But I think that's the point of tour. That's the point of live music. It shouldn't be perfect, and you should just be trying.
Well, like you said, it's been a long time. Do you think that the way that you're working with music changed during lockdown? Beyond sort of, I guess, the obvious, not being able to go out and perform?
Yes, I guess so. I guess everyone got more self-sufficient as a songwriter, as a producer. You know, I set up a little desk in my room, and I have a microphone and a keyboard and everything. But also, I think it reminded everyone of how much music is about community and about working with others and about sharing it with other people, which was wholesome for when we all came back. It was like a good 2 weeks where everyone was slightly less cynical. And everyone was like, I love music. And then it was like, I'm tired.
And is there any genre that you want to explore in the future? Have you set yourself any sort of goals for the next few years?
No, I'm just really open to doing whatever's fun and whatever feels exciting. And working with whoever that may be. But yeah, I mean, there's so many people I'd love to work with and projects I'd like to get involved in. And I just hope that in time you can do everything.
Is there anyone on the wish list to collaborate with at the moment?
What a fun question. Oh, see, you get asked this and then you can't think of anyone. Who do I like? I mean, just so many people. I love, I have a friend actually called Jensen McRae, who's an American singer-songwriter. She's based in LA. And I just think she's the best songwriter in the world. And I say that to her all the time. And I just think she's so talented, and her voice is incredible and her songwriting is incredible, and I would love to work with her.
And I guess the sort of final question to ask you is, what are you working on at the moment? Is there anything exciting that you can reveal?
Well, obviously not, because then it wouldn't be a secret. No, I mean, I'm working on my next album, and I really would like to release music as soon as possible. So that's going on. We're definitely zeroing, is that a word? Zeroing in? I'm going to say it is. I didn't go to university, hence that. But yeah, we're zeroing in and trying to get stuff together, really. But I don't want to say too much because that would not please my manager.
Well, I want to go to audience questions, but before we do, I have to ask, is it call me, psycho, or just call me psycho?
Bestie, I simply can't. I can't be confirming that. I mean, people think they know, and people sometimes, if they're like really invested, they'll be like, we've read the lyric booklet. we know. But then I'm like, yeah, but in the lyric booklet, I use both. So have fun with that. No, I actually did intend, there is a right answer. People think that I'm lying. I'm like, no, there is. And I didn't hear it the other way around until someone else said it to me. I always was very definitely like, this is the right one. But will I be confirming that? Absolutely not. What's the fun in that?
Well, if anybody has any questions, if you just raise your hand, and we'll start with the member in the purple jumper just here. Yeah. If you wait for Josh to bring your microphone and then stand.
Hi, I'm Phoebe.
Hi.
I love the album, and I was wondering what the inspiration behind Outdoor Pool was. It's one of my favourite songs.
Thank you. That song was so fun. So I wrote a lot of the album, a good half of it, I'd say. I went to Suffolk for over summer of 2020, and I had an Airbnb, and I had people sort of come to me, and we would work in this old barn Airbnb. And two of my friends, so John Green and Joe Ruble, came. And it was the first night, and it was really late. And I remember because the voice memo is marked like 12:30 a.m. And we'd done the outdoor pool chorus, just sort of in almost like a fever dream, like, I don't know what we're singing about. I think someone had said outdoor pool, and someone else was like, yeah, that's fun. So we wrote this chorus. And then we wrote a verse to it. And it was just kind of bizarre. And I don't think I knew how to write it. And the original verses were like, oh, I went back to my hometown and I saw my crush of school, and then we went into an outdoor pool, la 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 la. But then I went to sleep and I was like, that just feels very confused and not the point. And then, fun tale. I also wrote Love for My Don't on that day. So we'd done that song, and then we wrote that outdoor pool chorus. And then on the same day, history was made, and Taylor Swift announced Folklore. God, what a day. What a day. And then so I went to sleep, and then I woke up. Did I wake up at 5 a.m.? Maybe I did. I think I woke up early, listened to all of Folklore, and we'd all promised each other that we were going to listen to it together. And in my mind, I was like, I'm absolutely not going to do that. I will be listening on my own. And then so I listened to Folklore, and then I listened to Betty, and then I had like a light bulb moment where I was like, oh no, we don't need to go back and forth. I just need to be 15. And so then once I realized that, I think a few days later, on the last day, we were like, oh, we should do that. We should try and finish Outdoor Pool. And then we just got super into like reminiscing on what it was to be 15. And it was like French exchanges and like boys with bleached tips and rugby sweatshirts and HMV and drivers and like all the things that are in that song. And it was all of us just being like, list everyone. And then the lyric where I go like, is she gonna be your girlfriend? And I was writing this song with like literal like middle-aged men with all the love, I love them both. And I said like, is she gonna be your girlfriend? And John was like, that's too much. It's like, it hurts, and he had to leave. So it's too emotional. But no, I love that song. Thank you. I'm glad you like it too.
And the member, we'll just go to the person right next to you, it's probably easiest. Yeah. Efficient.
Hi, I'm Millie.
Hi.
I really love the song Brooklyn, and I know that you wrote it about your sister. I just wondered what her reaction was when she heard it for the first time.
That is such a good question. So there's actually footage of this, because I did like a sort of documentary thing with Apple, and I got my sister to come up to London, and I played it to her. And I wish I could remember more. I remember it being really, because my manager had been like, oh, like, get your sister to come, let's film the reaction. Or no, I think Apple had, and they're all American. And Apple like, get your sister to come, it's gonna be so great. And in my mind, I was like, guys, I think you've really misunderstood mine and Ellen's relationship, which is just like pure sarcasm. I don't think anyone said I love you since we were like 7 years old, but like in the best way. So I played her the song, and we got it on video. And I think her reaction was like, that's fun, like, that's funny. And then I was like, yeah, it is funny. And she was like, great. And then that was kind of just it. But she does really like it. She likes the attention, for sure.
And the member just at the front in the black jumper.
Hi, I'm Lucy. There's a TikTok from like a while ago where you wrote the line, do I still smoke? Honey, I'm no quitter. I'm a dog with a bone and an instinct to fight. And that, I can't get it out of my head ever. So my question is, are you going to release that song? And do you have a line that you've wrote that just sticks in your head as well?
What a good question. Am I going to release that song? Never say never, but probably not. It's funny, like all those little songs that I put on TikTok, I just wrote them that day, and I think that they're cool, but I never really intend them to go anywhere. But thank you. I'm glad you like that song. Oh, that's a really good question. I really like that lyric too.
There's so many. It's such a broad question.
No, I know, and I've written a million songs, and now I can't think of a single one. Like, I literally can't name one. Maybe I'll answer that at the end again, because it will be a lyric that's not out, so that's like a fun ending. And I'll like look through my phone for 5 seconds.
Mine's you fell for the moment, so you lied to the girl.
That's a good one. I did that recently. Yeah, maybe I'll say that. I've stolen yours. That's mine too. And you know what's funny? I did that because maybe I should. No, it's fine. I saw all of these indie boys doing, you know, it was from that 1975 song, and it's "Don't fall in love with a moment and think you're in love with a girl." And I feel like that's it's like so many guys that I know, and so I wanted to do like a little like personal private shading of like, you did it though, you did do it. And yeah, no, I'm glad you like that.
If we go for the member in the black coat just on the end.
Hello, I'm Tiff.
Hi, Tiff. We know each other.
Hi, Maisie.
Big, huge.
So recently there's been a lot of discussion of kind of the fast fashion equivalent in music. I think Chelsea Cutler released a statement about it. What are your thoughts on that?
Ooh, what a question. Yeah, I mean, Chelsea Cutler's post was really cool, and I remember talking to my friend about it and saying what's so funny is that literally every single artist I know on Instagram commented being like, I feel the same way. And this post was just for context of everyone else talking about how, it's kind of, like the fast fashion lack of sort of weight. It feels like, it's kind of hard to summarize actually, but music becoming sort of a numbers game, and a game of social media as opposed to music, maybe, is sort of the ins and outs of what she was saying. And I thought it was interesting that, every single artist commented on it, and it was saying we all feel exactly the same way, and then and then nothing happens. Brilliant. But it's really hard because I think that the modern music industry is so great in loads of ways as well. I think TikTok's the big thing that everyone talks about, and yes, it's draining, and sometimes it feels like it focuses on the wrong things, and it creates an unwinnable cycle of short-term wins, like get this amount of likes or this amount of views, and it's not really what music's about. But it's also created such an amazing platform for literally anyone to be found and be discovered and share what they make. And I've discovered so many songwriters and amazing musicians through TikTok who are like 17-year-old girls from Minnesota, and you're like, sick, like I would have never found you before this. So I think it's about, it's finding it within your, like finding how you and yourself can be part of the game without losing yourself to the game. And also remembering that these things, social media and likes and comments and views will not be what anyone remembers you for, and isn't actually what people who love your music think about. They don't really care. So you should just make music for those people and try and play the game as best as you can.
TikTok is a sort of big new medium, I suppose, and you've been very popular on TikTok. You had parts of Not Friends sort of trending. Is that something that you enjoy using as part of, I suppose, your music career, or do you view it as quite separate?
It's very much part of it nowadays because you can't really have one without the other, for better or worse. And it's such a double-edged sword because it was, when it's amazing. And when my song was sort of doing well on there, it was so cool. I could see all these people getting involved and joining in. And that's exactly what music is. Like, music should be about community and reaching people and connecting with people. And that's what I watched happens, which was amazing. But then if you're not careful, I guess, and that's why you just have to be someone, you just have to remember to stay grounded and try and remember what matters and what doesn't, because equally it can feel very daunting and very much like it can really obviously get to you, and it does feel like a reflection on you, which is not true. Likes aren't actually how many people like you. Shocker. But yeah, it's very much a double-edged sword. But if it's used in the right way and you're using it, I guess, in like a healthy way, I think it's amazing.
And did you intend to build the sort of, I suppose, like quite specific brand that you've built with Feral Rats and Girls House? Or is that something that just happened naturally as you sort of related to your audiences?
I think it's natural. I think like my brand is also just me, which sounds obvious maybe, but I've never tried to do anything. I wouldn't, what a sentence. I've never, re-say that, I've never sort of, I was gonna say, I've never thought of anything. No, I've never I think the best things just sort of come from what comes naturally to you. So no, I don't think it's ever been super developed.
And we'll have another question from the member in the orange, just there. Thank you.
Hi. So obviously loads of your music is kind of all in kind of the pop genre. I was wondering, are there any kind of really different genres that you kind of go, oh, I'd really like to try kind of writing in that style?
I mean, for sure. There's so many. I really love country music, and I grew up listening to country music a lot. And I think that's some of the best songs in the world are country songs. So I'd love to, at some point in my life, go to Nashville and sort of just get really into doing the whole country music, write 3 songs a day and finish by 5. I think that's really interesting to me, and I'm really obsessed with that.
And a question from the member in the hat just here.
Hello, I'm Ursi. Hello. I've recently become a really big fan, having listened to the whole of You Signed Up for This in one sitting in the Waterstones Cafe.
Where it should be listened to.
And I was just wondering, because one of the things that really stuck out to me was how well the songs all work together on that album. So was the album sort of one thing where you wrote the song specifically for that album, or was it more like songs were pulled together to make it, if that makes sense?
I think that there's a couple songs that existed pre-knowing I was making an album, but not a lot. I think songs that existed before. Summer of 2020 was when I went in and I got this Airbnb and I was like, right, I need to make my album. And then songs, I think John Hughes Movie, Boy and Hollow and Tough Act all existed pre that, which is like a quarter. And then apart from those, which, were sort of pulled in, everything else was written knowing I needed to make an album. But I've never been one for planning, so I didn't have the title until I wrote the song You Sign Up for This, and I didn't even have it as an idea. I just wrote that song, and then I was like, oh, I think that's the title. And Love My Don't, Outdoor Pool, and Brooklyn, and Volcano, and Talking to Strangers, and You Signed Up for This were all sort of done in the same month window, which is cool. I think that's maybe why there is a good foundation there, because they were just done at the same time with the same me doing them. So I guess, I don't know if that answers your question, but kind of done with intention. But also I do very little with very strong intention.
And the member in the pink just in front.
Hi, I'm Connie. I was just going to ask which song took the least long and which song took the most long to write that you've released so far?
Oh my goodness, now I have to think about all the songs. The song that took the most long, I'm going to go with that first, because that's probably more of a painful memory, so it should stick out. I guess often songs, most of the time writing the song doesn't take very long. It will take a day, but finishing the song and changing bits of the song will take the time. So John Hughes Movie, technically John Hughes Movie took 4 years, because we did it in 2017 and we wrote the whole song, and it was going to come out. And then I changed my mind because it just didn't feel right for the time. And then I released Worst of You instead, and that was oh God, we've got to release something else. I guess we'll release this song, which did well for me, so well done past me. But so we did John Hughes Movie then, and then 3 years later, we talk about it as the first single for the album. So then we reproduce it. And then I had many, many, many conversations about the guitar synth line in the post-chorus, which will be funny because I bet you're all thinking I don't even know what that is. And it was many sleepless nights. But sometimes some songs just take longer to crack, I guess, and that was one of them. And then a song that didn't take very long at all. The only thing the song that comes to mind, weirdly, I think it's because I was speaking to him today, was I have a song with JP Sachs called Maybe Don't. And we wrote that song together in London right before COVID. And we must have written it in like 2 hours or something. It was a real fever dream because it was such a short amount of time and a really bizarre time in like life. But we must have written it so quickly, and then we recorded it. And then he went to Paris. I remember because we were in King's Cross and he had to get the Eurostar and he had to be in King's Cross. And yeah, we literally must have written it in like an hour or two, if that.
And take a question from the elected member of Secretary's Committee on the End, Black.
Hi, I'm Disha. What would you say is the biggest kind of challenge you've had to face in your journey so far?
Well, oh my God, okay. The biggest challenge, there are many challenges. I think that it's definitely an interesting, sort of incomparable experience, and an amazing one, but an incomparable one, to have been someone that's been a sort of an artist and a signed recording artist, or even sort of someone working in the music industry as an artist since I was as young as I was. I think I started when I was 15, I signed when I was 17, and that's amazing, and I'm so lucky, and I wouldn't trade it, but it's definitely an challenging experience growing up and being a teenage girl who's growing up, and also I'm a person and I am Maisie, but I'm also very much like a brand, because that's what being an artist is. You are actually, and this sounds dark, but it's actually not, like you're a business. And I have many people involved who are involved in the business, and it gets more, as you get more successful, it goes on and on and on and on. And when you're someone who also, as much as you're a business and a brand, also it's built upon actually me. It's like my actual personality and the way I look and my taste in clothes and style and music and the way I write my songs and the songs and what I write about. It's all actually me, but also having to know on the other side of that coin that it's also, like a sort of a character. And that's okay, that's so fine. But I think that that's definitely been challenging and working out how to balance that.
And I'll take a question from the member just in front of you there.
Hi, I just wanted to ask about the album you signed up for this. Did you put any thought into the order of the songs? Because it's one of the few albums that I don't play on shuffle. Like, honestly, like Tough Act at the end, like the final song, I thought that was just genius, as in like you're saying, like, oh, this album was one tough act to follow. Yes.
Got it. Thank you. First of all, thank you, that's so nice. Hilariously for me, I really put off doing the track listing. I will say that some stuff was obvious, so I knew that Tough Act was going to be the last song, and I knew that You Signed Up for This was going to be the first song. And I wrote them both. I wrote You Signed Up for This as the opener intentionally, and Tough Act I realized really early on that it should be the closer because of the lyric. But then the middle sections, oh my God, I put off for ages, and I actually, really truthfully, I literally was on the deadline. My manager was like, we need the track listing now. And then I made it. And which is, I think was good. I think the less thought, the better sometimes. But I did some really last minute changes, so like really nerdy trivia for anyone that cares. But for ages, I really wanted Love Him I Don't to be the second song, because that's my favorite song. And also because I say at the beginning, is this the intro? And I was like, that's funny. And it was for literally until like the last hour, it was the second song. And then I had someone on my team say that they thought it was too early, and that you need to start big for longer. And I was like, had a little hissy fit, and I was like, I don't agree. And then I was like, I agree. So I remember being on the train, like literally on the train, it's like the deadline, and I'm like shuffling things around and sending it to my group chat with my manager, being like, what about this? And then it worked. But there's some really fun stuff. I think there's like Psycho to Hollow or the other way round. I don't remember, but I remember that being like, that's funny. Like, it's just a lot of comedy for me.
And we'll take a question from the member in the yellow mask.
Hi, I'm Sophia. Thank you so much, first of all, for all your music. It means so much to me and to my friends. I just have a simple question. When are you releasing Girls' House?
Guys!
That was the question I was hoping for.
You know what? You guys are gonna hate this, but it so almost came out at one point as well. And literally, I was gonna film a music video with Girls' House and my friend Dominique, who shoots stuff, and we were planning it. And we had such a fun. I'm not gonna say the idea because just in case we ever use it, but it was so funny. And then it almost came out for a bit. That was a plan. And then I decided I didn't want to do a deluxe version of the album because of various reasons, but I wanted to just get started on the next one. And I felt like I was in a place where I was actually able to do that. I felt like I had a lot to say and I wanted to do, and I just wanted to move forward. Which is sad because there are a couple of songs which I would have loved to come out, and hopefully I'll do a Vault edition one day and we can have all those songs. But Girls' House, listen, never say never, but so my housemate Vera came to the studio yesterday for something different, and I think everyone thought we were doing Girls' House, and I was like, guys, we're not doing Girls' House, I'm sorry, but never say never, but I hate to let you down, Bestie, but not right now.
A question from the member in the red shirt.
Hi, a lot of your songs are very emotional, and you're obviously a very big fan of Taylor Swift. So do you have an all too well 10-minute version equivalent that was too raw and too hard that you can't release it?
Do I? That's such a funny question. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a 10-minute, I'll be honest. I do have, though, what do I have? I have one song which I think is my all too well 10-minute version because it's really long and it's really deeply personal, so I'm just never going to put it out. But I think that's a good 6 minutes, which is quite long. But it's funny. You get why she did hers 10 years later. I think maybe you need the 10 years to recover. But no, maybe one day you'll hear it. Who knows? But I said it does. I can say it because it doesn't matter. It's called Take the Trade. And it's funny because I take the trade, not take the train. Very different. I sent it to one of my friends, when I did it, so year and a half, 2 years ago. And she just has the voice memo of it because I just sent her stuff. And then she was going through a rough patch with a relationship. And she texted me and she was like, Maisie, I'm listening to Take the Trade. And I was like, stop it. Toxic. Stop it. Delete it. Because it's such a deeply toxic song. But never say never. I feel like I'm saying that a lot to keep my options open.
We have time for probably just a couple more questions. I'll take one from the member just at the back there in the white shirt.
Hi, I'm Anna, and I've got another Taylor Swift related question. Do you have a favourite song by hers? I think mine is Back to December.
That's mine!
Oh my god, we're actually twins. I was going to say Death by a Thousand Cuts as well.
That's a good one. No, I always say Back to December because that feels like my staple answer. But I also really like Clean and I like Mirrorball.
And a question I'll take one from the member here and then one from the member at the back.
Hi, thanks for the talk. I wanted to ask about music producers and the process of that. So you mentioned Joe, and on the album there's people like Steve Mack and Fred Gibson. I was wondering what the process was, how you kind of work with them, any differences between that and things you find that work better for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, everyone I work with is so different. And I'm really lucky I've worked with so many really amazing producers. And they all, everyone works in very different ways. So it's hard to compare. I think they're all really collaborative, and they all are simultaneously. Everyone I work with the most is really good at knowing when to get involved and when to not, I guess. But yeah, I mean, they're so different. Steve, for example, is one of my favorite people. He's a wonderful one, but he's so funny. He's very much you start at 12 and you leave at 5, and that's a dead set rule. Whereas I work with Joe and we'll just go until midnight and we're doing fuck all, like we're really doing nothing, but you just sort of drift in and out, and you chat for a bit, and then you do some singing, and then you chat, and then you listen to this other song, and it really depends. And I think it's good. It's like healthy to switch it up.
And from the member with the green sleeves.
Hi, I'm Jinya. I have kind of a silly question. I'm just wondering, when you're interviewing somewhere or you're about to perform, is there like a snack or a drink that you really hope is waiting for you in the back room?
Huge question. Good question. I would say that if I'm on tour, I mean, actually, this is a serious answer to your silly question. Love it from me. But I personally find it really hard to like drink when I'm on tour, just because I lose my voice, and touring is so intensive, and playing shows, like I take it very seriously, and I just, it's an awful feeling to feel like you're not giving your best to the people that have come. And also you take like pride in putting on a good show and feeling good when you're doing it. So I don't really drink a huge amount. So I guess, what would I drink? I would just drink like lemonade or Diet Coke. Not very fun, but that must be done nowadays because it's so intensive. Not even just playing the show, because nowadays there's interviews and promo, and there's social media, there's content to be made, and it's a lot of like actually hard work in the best way. And I'm just not a very good hungover person, I won't lie.
Well, on that, we'll finish with the question that we ask all of our speakers to end, which is that if you could give the audience here one thing to take away, to think about for the week, what would that be?
God, there's so much room for comedy here. Something to think about for everybody. Oh my goodness, what is it meant to be, like a question? Anything.
Up to you.
Has anyone else ever reacted this with this fear? Does everyone else do that? I'm like, that's so hard. Something to think about. I wish I could see other people's answers. It's not a very confident girl boss thing of me to say. I should just strike my own path. I'm gonna strike my own path. I would say, this is very broad, but I was talking to a friend about it earlier. She's releasing music soon, and we were talking about when we spoke about it for the first time in a Nando's like 4 years ago, and she was like, yeah, I always really remember, Maisie, you said like, you should just do it. Like music is forever, and if you put it out now, who's to say someone won't find it and love it in 4 years' time, but they'll never do that if you don't put it out. And I was like, I have no recollection of saying that, but it sounds good, so I'm gonna reiterate it. I guess if anyone makes music, it's never a bad idea to share it, I think, and you never know what can come of it. But also, songs are just songs, and you can make loads of them. So equally, don't be so tied to just one or to just one project. I always remember a good Maggie Rogers quote when someone asked her about her making her album, and she was like, yeah, I loved making this album, but I am gonna make like 15 more, so it's okay. Like, I'm just gonna go make another one now. And I think that's great energy. Make something and then just make another one.
Well, we're looking forward to MP15.
Exactly.
Maisie,
MP3, imagine that, can't wait.
It's been an absolute pleasure to have you, Maisie. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, it's so fun.
And please join me in thanking Maisie Peters.